In this video, we're going to talk about how much you should put into retirement accounts versus non-retirement accounts when you're investing. So let's dive in. We are talking about investing. We are talking about how much money should you put into retirement accounts versus non-retirement accounts. What is that magic number? Is there a magic number? And how did you do it becoming a millionaire in your 30s? How did you decide what you put in retirement account and what you put in non-retirement? Let's talk a little bit about that.
I love that because had I had the information that we're going to share today, I've probably made a different decision. And when I first got started investing, I didn't know which one to choose, Roth or traditional. But my choice was all retirement accounts for this discussion. So I chose all my retirement and I was just really focused on retirement. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this, going to do this. And then 5, 10 years into that, no, less than 10, probably 5 years into that journey, I was like, man, I can't touch this for another 30 or 40 years. And someone at work told me, asked the question. She asked, why are you even saving? What are you even saving for? And I went home that weekend and I couldn't figure it out. I sat with the question and I didn't know. But what it caused me to do was save even more. But I chose to save outside of retirement. And I still didn't know what that thing was going to be, but I was going to be ready for whatever it was. So I was so focused on retirement that if I never put anything else in there, it would be multiple millions by the time I hit 60 years old. And so therefore I wanted to know what would happen if I wanted to have access to the money at 50, 55, 40, or really 30. Right? I wanted to have access to that. And for myself, I have about half of my net worth. Yeah, half of the net worth is in retirement accounts, and half of our net worth is outside of retirement accounts.
Yeah. Was that a conscious decision that you did 50-50, or was this because you just did all retirement accounts and then you just stopped retirement and then you did all in non-retirement?
Great question. So I did focused on retirement accounts. Then I was super focused on non-retirement accounts. And then I kind of came in the middle and started doing 50-50. And it just has happened to work out that way. It wasn't part of the plan to be 50-50. It's just what has worked out. And I typically will max out my retirement options. And then any monies after that, I will also invest, but outside of retirement.
Okay. And then you're talking about like today's dollars, your income today, you're maxing out your retirement, and then anything more that you want to invest goes to your non-retirement.
That's correct. And I want to throw in there, that's because I'm debt free.
Mhm.
Right? For anyone who's forgot the 5 steps, it's because we're debt free and we have the money to invest. So I
Yeah.
max out those options and then I continue on.
Yeah. The other point is also taken that because you already have half of your investments in non-retirement, that is supplementing income for you whenever you decide that you want extra income. You can just take money from that account, even though you're in your late 30s. If you wanted extra income and you only had your retirement accounts, you would pay a 10% penalty on any money that you would take out from there. So that's important to note as well, that you already have some substantial savings in your non-retirement so that you can take that money when you have those years that you don't want to work that much, or when you choose to work less, get less, and then you can actually supplement that or pay for a big vacation or whatever you're going to be doing.
We'll get back to the episode in just a second, but we wanted to give you a gift just for being here today. Thank you so much. We've got a 3-part video workshop absolutely free for you. This workshop is designed to help you get organized with your money so that you can give yourself a 10% raise. When you give yourself a 10% raise, you are going to have more money. And when you have more money, we will show you exactly what to do with that money so that you can get on the path to financial freedom and start living your life, your ideal life today. You're going to learn how to get out of debt. You're going to learn how to save money. You're going to learn how to free up money so that you can invest for your future. If you're unfulfilled with life, whether it be at work, in your personal life, or with your money, then this is the workshop for you. Visit sentinelcoaching.com/raise. That's sentinelcoaching.com/raise, or click the link in the description. Now, back to the episode.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the RV. Exactly what I did. I pulled the money out to pay for the RV in cash.
Yeah, from the non-retirement account.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So let's walk through a couple of scenarios because, we can be a viewer on the other side watching the two of us talk about this stuff and be like, okay, but how does that relate to me? So let's
Yes.
walk through a couple of different scenarios. Somebody who is early in their career, maybe they're in their early 30s or 20s, like it doesn't really matter, but you're early in your career saying, okay, I've got this option to save into a retirement account, but should I save into my non-retirement accounts? And then let's go to another scenario after that of somebody who's older, maybe in their early 50s or like kind of staring down the barrel of retirement to say, is it worth it for me to invest in non-retirement or just like load up on their retirement? Let's talk a little bit about that. So let's take the young person first and say, if you were just starting out, maybe you're in your mid to late 20s, early 30s, you have a 401k option at work. Uh, what do we do to save in retirement versus non-retirement? How do you make that decision?
Well, following our 5 steps, we recommend you do 10% at minimum of your income and no more than 20% because we are assuming that you have a house and we want to put that extra towards the house and have your house paid off, which also classifies as a non-retirement investment in my eyes. So you split that 10 to 20% up, whatever that number is for you. For that person, I would most likely challenge them to put 50% in retirement and 50% outside of retirement. But it depends on each, right? Our favorite word, it depends. Depends on how much they already have in retirement. And it depends on if they have a lot of money outside of retirement also invested.
Uh, I would say I would walk my client, if this was my client, I would walk them through a series of questions to figure out how likely would it be that you would need this money before age 59 and a half. Now, you can't really predict exactly how your life is going to go because we all know it's either going to be higher or lower or left or right or whatever. It's never going to be exactly how you think it's going to go. It's going to go better or worse, right? So what is the likelihood? So if I was 29 years old or 30 years old or whatever it is, or I have that client, I would say, all right, do you want to retire earlier than 59 and a half? Do you want to semi-retire earlier than 59 and a half? Whatever it might be. Do you need that money, access to that money before age 60? If any percentage of you is saying, yes, I think I do want to retire early, or I want to have access to that money, I want to buy a house, I want to go on vacation, I want to do all these other things, then yeah, you should set some of that 10 to 20% toward non-retirement investing, even if you're not maxing out your retirement accounts. Because if you saying the likelihood that you're going to need it before 59 and a half is higher, then having that option of a non-retirement account is the way to go because you don't want to get stuck at 53, 54, 55 years old saying, I'm ready for retirement, but all of my money is sitting in retirement accounts. You're like, uh-oh, I have to work for another 6 years to even touch that, to be qualified to touch that account. We don't want you in that position that you don't have options. That's why we would say put some money in retirement, put some money in non-retirement because it gives you that option to retire early or to pay for things like Mike was talking about. He bought an RV out of the non-retirement accounts or whatever you want to do. Like, so if that's likely, start investing in your non-retirement accounts. If it's not likely at all, and you're like, no way, I'm not going to retire earlier, then yeah, load up on your retirement accounts because it is a tax advantage to do it that way as well. Any thoughts on that, Mike, on that scenario?
Yes, I thinking even back to myself or how you and I have created Ideal Life and Money Academy is we want to encourage you to start living your life. It may mean retiring earlier. It may mean stepping out, reducing your income to start a business. It may mean any number of things. And usually that comes with some kind of money that you have to spend. And that's cool. I love that. And we want you to, man, be encouraged. We want you to just save. Back to the example of 10% as a minimum, maybe you put 10% into retirement and anything above that can go towards the house or invest it outside of that. That's what we want for you. And life changes. For me, I was single until I was 30. So if this person is also single, or it plays a role if they are dink, right? Dual income, no kids. So that plays a role. Or if they have 5 kids.
Mhm.
Like everything is variable and it depends. The cool thing is you're watching, you're listening to this, and you're thinking about investing. That's the biggest thing that you can do is just start investing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's take the older person now and deep into their career, maybe late 40s, early 50s, something like that. They're kind of staring down the barrel of retirement at some point soonish in the next decade. Should they start investing in the non-retirement, thinking maybe I can retire before 59 and a half? What variables are we looking at in this situation?
Well, statistics tell us that that decade in your 50s is the highest earning decade of your life. So most likely you're making the most money you ever made and you've become debt free. Maybe you've even paid off the house. Congratulations. I would max out all of my retirement options because, like Jason touched on, it is tax beneficial. Our choice is always the Roth, but even if you want to choose the traditional IRA or 401k, that's still better than just putting after tax money into the same type of investment in a brokerage account. So I would max out any option that I have and then invest after that in a brokerage account.
Yeah, yeah, I agree fully. However close you are to the 59 and a half age, I mean, it's more advantageous for you to just load up on your retirement accounts because you're going to be able to access that without penalty at 59 and a half. So if you're 56, 57, and you're like, yeah, there's no way I'm still saving, I'm still accumulating, I'm not going to retire in the next 3, 4 years, by all means, load up on your retirement account, max all that stuff out because yes, you do want to save on those taxes and take advantage of the government rules when it comes to tax savings in your retirement accounts. Now, what if
And
you want to
I would
start this? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to add as well, not only that, think about how much of an emergency fund you want. Now, Jason and I aren't staring down the barrel of retirement at right now, but we encourage you to have 3 to 6 months of expenses as an emergency fund. Other people, older, 60, 70 years old, maybe they want 12 months. I've even read of some people that have 2 or 3 years of cash. I don't think that I would do that. I'm not that age at the moment, but I think 1 year at 70 years old would be more than enough to ride out a wave of a dip in the market. Worst case scenario, you stop spending, or you go work part time, or you do something, right? I think there's always options. We don't get stuck in even what we're telling you today, Roth versus non-Roth. There's more than the retirement versus non-retirement. There's always more than one or two options. You can pay off your house. You can just save cash. You can stop working, go to part time. There's so many options out there. I just want to encourage you to don't get stuck in only having two options.
Yeah. I think you brought up a good point earlier in that statement is we forget that we have choice in the matter. We say, "Oh my gosh, the markets are going crazy. What's going to happen? I'm taking out all of my money from my retirement accounts. Like I'm going to be up a creek." Well, you forgot that when you see that coming, you are going to stop spending. You're going to be like, "Hold on, I guess I can't go out to eat as much. I guess I'm not going to go buy that kind of stuff. I'm not going to live the same lifestyle if I see a crash coming or if I see my investment accounts the value dropping. I'm not going to spend the same amount of money. I'm going to be like, okay, hold on a second, maybe I got to shift some things." Or like Mike, you said earlier, is I can go get a side hustle. I can get a job. I can do part-time work. Like if you are physically able and mentally able to do this, then yeah, you're going to go make some extra money. You can make $500 or $1,000 pretty darn easily anywhere a month. You can start a little side business, right? And make a couple grand a month easy. So yeah, we forget about that factor of when things are crashing. This, oh no, I'm just going to lose all this money because I'm withdrawing it. Well, withdraw half of the money, and then you're not going to quote unquote lose it, or the market's not going to affect it as much. So yeah, we forget
And
about
it's not forever, right?
yeah,
We're 3 months, 6 months,
yeah,
maybe 12 months of a dip. So relax.
yeah,
Right? Let's relax.
yeah,
And we're if you're watching again, if you're watching or listening to people that have money, right? We've already paid off our debt. We've invested some amount of money, and you're going to be okay. Things are going to be okay.
yeah,
I
yeah.
give you a great example on closing of this episode today. My dad is 68 years old and just funded his first IRA, and he's watching it. He hasn't put any more money into it, but he's watching it because this is his first time. He's getting his feet wet, and it's never too late. That's the whole point of that. It's never too late to do that.
Great. Get your money working for you. All right. We'll see you in another video.